Hi, I'm Max Walker&Williams, and today we are talking about HBAR use cases. I've done quite a few videos now on Hedera Hashgraph's HBAR, and we get lots of comments, and thank you very much to anybody who has left me a comment and liked any of the videos. A lot of the comments though, not a lot, but some of the comments are quite misinformed though, in that people believe that there aren't any use cases for HBAR, nobody's really using Hedera Hashgraph, and it might be great in principle, Max, but actually in real life, nobody's really using it. You have to bear in mind that Hedera Hashgraph is only 3 years old. The likes of XRP, for example, is what, 12 years old? So Ripple Labs, 10 years old. So much younger project, but already there are hundreds, and I mean hundreds of companies already using Hedera Hashgraph, and they've said by 2025 their income will be north of $1 billion a year. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with the HBAR price if it's priced like some of these tech companies, startup tech companies are. You know, you look at the likes of Tesla or Amazon, Facebook, Google, look at all the valuations. I mean, the price to earnings ratios are crazy. I mean, on some of them that have never made a profit, it's infinite. But you know, 20 times, 100 times, 250 times earning ratios. So where does that put Hedera Hashgraph at $1 billion of income with net profits in the hundreds of millions? Anyway, HBAR use cases. So I'm going to rattle through them. If you want to know anything about any of these companies, you can Google their name and their own websites come up, and a lot of them make reference to the Hedera Hashgraph technology because most of them are very proud to be associated with it. For the first time ever, the blackboard isn't big enough, so I've also got a bit more on a trusty piece of paper. Starling Labs. What a project this is. Don't know if you've ever heard of Starling Labs. What an incredible company. Developed by USC Foundation and Stanford University's Department of Electrical Engineering. Stanford University, the two big Ivy League universities, of course, in America, being Harvard and Stanford. Stanford University's Department of Electrical Engineering, what do? They capture images and videos of people voting, of war zones, atrocities. They've taken 56,000 Holocaust testimonials, and 250 different elections have been covered with photographs and with videos. So because of deep fakes, I don't know if you've seen those, but people take a video of somebody's face and then they can make them say anything, or they slow it down ever so slightly so they sounds like they're slurring and they're drunk, fake news and all that stuff. It's never been more important that we record moments in humanity that are important for witness later. But how do you do that and make sure that the images or the footage hasn't been doctored or changed or tampered with to show something that isn't there or to take away something that was there? The way you do that, of course, is you collect that information on the Hedera Hashgraph. Time-stamped, you know, Byzantine proof. And so there's a bit like the art that I talked about with the NFTs and the proof of stake and the non-tangible funds, non-fungible tokens. It means that you can track that image from when it was recorded on the Starling Labs app, whether it be mobile phone, camera, or whatever, and then you can track its entire journey and you can see that no changes have been made to it, or if changes have been made to it, by whom, when, and so on and so forth. Animoca Brands. So Animoca Brands, they've just raised $88 million for their idea, for their concept from a venture capital firm to create a football game. And part of that football game, they've got the license to some of the biggest and greatest football teams and brands in the world, and you'll be able to trade NFTs backed by Hedera Hashgraph's HBAR. You'll also, interestingly, be able to redeem some of those NFTs for HBAR. So you know, don't jump on me if I've got this incorrect, but I do believe that they're the first company in the world to be able to do that, giving people the option to trade their NFTs for the cryptocurrency. ASA, so American Drug Supply Chain Company, ensuring pharmacies don't run out of supply using APIs and the Hashgraph. So if you've got a pharmacy in Edinburgh or in Las Vegas, for example, and they've got loads of one particular type of life-saving drug, and there's another pharmacy running out, and they're within the same brand and they're using this software, they can track it and make sure that no one pharmacy's got too much of one type of drug and another pharmacy never runs out. So it's a way of tracking and tracing all of the supply of life-saving drugs for pharmacies, so that when you go into the pharmacy and your prescription's coming up, the pharmacy know and they make sure that they've always got in stock. So that's a pretty serious. I mean, Starling Labs is serious. That's another pretty serious one. It's people's lives we're playing with here. Avery Dennison, so obviously they're on the Hedera Hashgraph Council, as are a couple of these guys. They're creating barcodes to allow customers to track their purchases right back to raw material. So this is something I've discussed before, but effectively you'll have a barcode on a product, and with the app you'll be able to track where that came from. So if you're looking at a trainer, where it was made, if it's hand stitched, where that was, and was it sustainable, and whether people paid fairly, where the leather, if it's leather, were the animals dispatched humanely, was it from a farm, organic, or was it, and all the different parts of that product that you're buying is split apart into raw materials on the app, and you can see the journey of each one right back to the field that the cow was grazing in, and so on and so forth. So a great concept there for people who are humanitarians and conscious of the environment, their surroundings, and want to know and want companies to be accountable for where they source their raw materials from. Hala Systems, so Mark Cuban is an investor in this company, invested $1 million into it, and obviously Mark Cuban, if you watch Shark Tank in America, I think he's great. I think if you've watched Shark Tank, it's harder to watch Dragon's Den because it's like it's in a village hall once you've watched Shark Tank. But Mark Cuban is an investor, and that gives it a bit of credos because he's obviously knows what he's doing. He's a billionaire, one of the richest people on Shark Tank, if not the richest investor on Shark Tank. And these guys, I've talked about them briefly before. They're an early warning system for attack in Syria. 2 million civilians receive warnings before an attack occurs, 10 to 15 minutes before. And then they've got posts all over Syria, in the centre of Syria, and they alarm and they make a sound, but they also have lights that flash and let people know that there's been some information that there's going to be an attack imminently. And that just gives people a chance to get into a bunker, hide, whatever they have to do to help save themselves. So I mean, it doesn't get much more serious than that if that affects your life. Can you imagine living in a war zone and you could be going about your daily business, and all of a sudden, bang, a missile or a bomb or whatever hits, and you're gone. Your family's wiped out, or you witness that. It must be horrific. I can't even begin to imagine. Then imagine that you have this 10 to 15 minute head start. How this works in real life is that they have people with apps on their mobile phones, and they have people, within the business, they're just members of the public who hear something or see something, they report it on the Hashgraph through the app. They have people working within the business that have intel, and people on the inside who are reporting things back. And the minute anyone hears of an attack, imminent attack, it's reported in real time, and it's timestamped on Hashgraph where that information came from. Was it reliable? And then people are given sort of scoring systems so that if they can say, there's a small chance this is going to happen, there's a medium chance this can happen, or this is definitely going to happen, and you need to protect yourselves. So I mean, it doesn't get much more serious than that if that affects you. KPAY, so this is a really great system for me personally and for you guys. If you don't believe that HBAR's got any use cases, then just look down below this video, you'll see a button. That is KPAY. KPAY is a way for people to tip another person online. Try using it by clicking the KPAY button below. Pay per use case. So I'll get to that in a second. So this is a really seamless way for them to set up. So if you like this video and you want to give me a tip, then you just click the button below this video and it'll tip me 1 HBAR or however much you want. You can click repeatedly. If you want to try using it and actually be one of the first people to use an actual HBAR, you can do that right now by clicking the button below, the KPAY button below. They're also got this is a cracking business idea, I think, which is the pay-per-use case. So the pay-per-use case is, rather than buying a book on your Kindle and paying for it, £8 or whatever they are, £5, and I prefer the real thing. And rather than paying for the £8 book and then getting 20 pages in and realizing it's not actually for you or the book's not very good, with these guys you pay per click, pay per page. So rather than paying £8 for a book, you may pay £8.50, but you only pay for every page you read. Once you've paid for it once, you've got it forever, but you pay as you go. And I think that's a brilliant model. And actually, there'll be guys watching this now who are far more intelligent and entrepreneurial than me that'll be thinking, we can apply that to this. So it might be listening to music, you only pay for every second you listen to, and if you get a minute in and you don't like a song, you don't pay for any more. Think of all the different things that could potentially be applied to. I think it's great technology. Pay-per-use, I think, is going to be a big thing that we start to see more and more of, and what that can be applied to. Entrust. So Entrust are a wine, work in the wine industry, and they claim there are $3 billion of wine fraud every year. I mean, that's amazing. $3 billion of wine fraud. What's wine fraud? Taking an expensive bottle of wine and putting cheap wine inside it and then selling it as the expensive bottle would be one example. Entrust, these guys are a little bit like Avery Dennison, in fact, but they're concentrating on wine specifically. Entrust allows people to track their wine from the vine to the glass to make sure the wine in the bottle is the same as the wine on the label. So basically does what it says on the tin, pretty clear description. They're trying to attack the $3 billion worth of fraud in the market, and it lets you know as a consumer that the wine you're paying for is the wine in the bottle. But it's not just the fraud, but it's also, where did this wine come from? Are the grapes organic? And so on. And the whole journey, is the glass recycled or is it brand new? The cork and so on and so forth. Every ingredient, every part and every piece of raw material, again, that goes into making that bottle of wine, where it came from, you can know. Tune.fm, so Tune.fm allows people to upload their music and charge whatever they want. It allows people to get paid instantly and without mega fees. So that's really amazing for the arts. So if you create music yourself, you can upload your music to Tune.fm, and then it cuts out the middleman, because it's really hard for musicians, I guess, to get known, and then when they do get known, they get, or so I've heard, they get ripped off by the industry. So it cuts out the middleman, and it says, look, Max has created this amazing song, Max uploads it to Tunefm. If you listen to a sample, if you like it, you can pay me directly for it. For every HBAR you pay me, or for every dollar you pay me, I think I get 90%, and Tune.fm get 10%. But this is the important bit. I can charge you a penny for my song, or 2p or 5p, and that's impossible with the banks or with any other sort of payment system, because the cost to transact with most cryptos, and definitely with all fiats, is more than I'm trying to charge you. So you're not going to pay 5p for my song and then pay £1 in charges, or £2, or in Bitcoin's cases, 15 quid in charges, 20 quid in charges to pay me a penny. So it doesn't make any sense. £20 a Bitcoin, penny to me, and I'm the artist. So HBAR with a micro transaction fees, speed and low use of electricity makes this whole thing possible. So you can pay me a penny and listen to my music. And I get it direct, which I think is great. And I also get it instantly. I don't have to wait 30 days or whatever. Soon tracks water for human consumption in America to ensure water is clean. There currently is an emergency nitrate tracking in California. So this is really important. They've got sensors in the water, and they track to make sure that the water you drink is, if you're in America, is clean and fit for human consumption. Why? I mean, that could be done on any sort of software, you might say. True, but you know that it isn't tampered with. It's an open ledger. You can go on and make sure that these big companies, like Aaron Brockovich, haven't gone back and tried to doct any of the files. And we've seen that in America quite a few times with Big Pharma and other big sort of industrial companies fiddling the books, changing information retrospectively, cover-ups. This does away with that. It's an open book for people to go on and have a look, and they can see this is what was recorded at this time, and it hasn't been doctored since. It's on the hash graph forever and can't be meddled with. So that's a really important one again. And currently there's a nitrate in the water, which is obviously massively bad for human beings. You don't want to be ingesting that. And they're using this software with and hardware with the Hedera Hashgraph to track the nitrate, make sure the levels are safe in the water. So coming off the chalkboard, and I'm sorry it isn't bigger. It's not the first time I've said that. So we've got power transition. So these guys track and trade electricity. So they effectively, if you're a house builder, or even if you've got your own single property or business and you've got solar panels on the roof, you may be a net exporter of electricity. In fact, we've got a couple of properties where the solar panels on the roof supply the electricity for the property, and then the surplus, the extra electricity that those panels make is fed into the grid and we get paid for it. So not only do we not pay for electricity, actually we get paid every quarter. I think we actually do all right. We've got one big property that we get about £2,000 to £2,500 a quarter. So we get the electricity for free and we get paid £2,500 a quarter. The problem with that, particularly in the UK, is that the grid in most first world countries is designed to have one central power creator, and that feeds all of the consumers. This is going the other way. So it's retrofitting, it's hard work, but most importantly, some of the electricity that's going back into the grid is really, really small. So you might have one house, one dwelling, that has free electricity and makes a surplus of a couple of pence of electricity. But you add that up across tens of thousands of properties, and actually it's a lot of electricity. So it seems a shame to waste it. And actually, the chap, what's his name? Anthony Morgan is the chairman of Power Transition, and he said that his business would not be possible with any other blockchain technology that they've looked at. Why? Because the electricity to transact, and we're talking about hundreds of thousands of transactions of electricity, tiny amounts of electricity going onto the grid, big amounts, small amounts, thousands of transactions a day, per housing estate in some cases, all across the country paying into the grid. That all has to be tracked, it has to be provable, and both for government legislation and also for the customers. You want to know that the electricity your solar panels are making, you're definitely getting paid your fair share. And there's no way of seeing it, so how do we track that, and how do we track it at scale? And he's actually come out and said that his business would not be possible were it not for Hedera Hashgraph, because it's scalable and the transactions, but most importantly, because of the electricity consumption. What the hell is the point in you making your house making £1, 1 kilowatts worth of electricity, or £1 worth of electricity, or whatever it is, and putting that into the grid? But to track that transaction, we're using Bitcoin, we're using the blockchain, and we use more electricity to track that payment than the electricity itself that you made in the first place. It's a nonsense, it's non-sustainable, obviously, and it's not in real time. Hedera Hashgraph in real time, low transaction cost, and also, really importantly, low transaction electricity. We've got AZDAX, spoken to about these guys a couple of times before. They're actually based in Swansea, where I'm from originally, and these guys are a platform to allow Google or any of the other big advertisers to prove to their customers who's clicked, when they've clicked, and track those clicks on banner adverts on websites. If you've liked my channel, you've seen my other videos, I've already talked about those guys quite a bit. So they're on the Hedera Hashgraph, and they're a customer. In fact, they're the largest customer they have at the moment in terms of transaction volume. WePro, they use Hedera Hashgraph for proof of clinical trials. So again, a bit like with the water, people can't go back in retrospectively and alter the results. Things are tracked in real time. When the results come out, they're tracked, they're stamped on the Hedera Hashgraph, and they're there for people to go back and check those clinical trials and check the results of those clinical trials. Telegram. So Telegram are using HBAR chatbot, and basically it's a bit like Reddit, where you can write anything you want. So somebody's got a question, you write an answer. If people like that answer, people can upvote it, so they give it a like. A bit like YouTube's, where you can like this video, the algorithms put it higher up the tracks. Please give it a like and a comment if you've got time, or give me a KPAY. And people can write a thing, and if it gets upvoted, then more people see it and it gets more exposure, and if it gets downvoted, it falls away into oblivion. The difference with Telegram is it incentivizes people to create good content, because as you get upvoted, you get paid in HBAR. So you actually get rewarded financially for your hard work, which always is going to incentivize people to write better content. So you're not having to waste your time wading through a load of nonsense on Telegram. DLA Piper, they're tokenizing assets like art. So I've talked a lot about that with OMI and Acoer. If you want to see that video, just click the link in the description below. Who else have we got? Oh yeah, AVC Global. So these guys are a supply chain technology to help computers supply products just in time. If you're into business at all, you'll know about the just-in-time model by tracking what people buy and when. So when the idea is that someone like Amazon's a slightly different model because they do a lot of selling for other people, but imagine Amazon stocked only their own stuff. So they only sold what they have. There are no secondary sellers on Amazon. And imagine that they're the everything store. They've got so much stuff on Amazon, everything you can ever think of. You could probably almost buy one of everything in your house on Amazon. Imagine having that much stock in stock at all times. So the just-in-time model is basically you order, they know that every Friday 100 people order a football. They know that as those orders come in, the delivery of the football arrives, and therefore they haven't got all this stock tied up. To do that, you have to be absolutely seamless, and that's one of the things Amazon do incredibly well. In fact, I ordered some Bluetooth wireless headphones for the gym last night, and they arrived this morning, and that wasn't through Prime. I'm not an Amazon Prime person, and I couldn't believe it. So yeah, amazing. For me ordering here in Preston late at night, I mean, I'm talking 9, 10 o'clock at night, before 11 a.m, I got a text from the office, there's a delivery for you here. So AVC Global help companies like that achieve that system, and they do it by doing the Hedera Hashgraph. You can imagine how many transactions they must be tracking in real time at any 1 second. FTPOS, again, another company I've talked about a lot. Australia's biggest debit card transaction terminal and debit card company, and they're using Hedera Hashgraph. And by the way, it's worth noting that they were a customer before they were on the governing council. So they were a customer, they were so impressed and so taken aback with the Hedera Hashgraph technology that they became a governing member of Hedera Hashgraph. Oh yeah, Monty. So Monty are a company that help big companies store people's data in compliance with data protection and different laws all over the country. So if you want to move one person's information from one place to another, so if you're buying a house in America, the way your information is stored in the UK will be different to the way it's stored in America, and the way that transitions across is through a smart contract, and the way that smart contract is transacted is on the Hedera Hashgraph, and Monty are a company that help big companies do that. So there's some really broad examples of the use cases for HBAR and Hedera Hashgraph. Worth noting that these are some amazing companies doing incredible things. I mean, Starling Labs, how do you argue with that? I mean, you know, as people ourselves, as the end users and the victims of fake news, I mean, I can't get over that, you know, and some of the work they're doing, 56,000 Holocaust testimonials recorded and tamper-proof, can't be tampered with. So they are locked, bang, in the vault. Anyone can go back and check what was said, by whom, when, what occurred, we know. You know, and recording people voting and all that sort of stuff. So really, really, you know, these guys with the systems in Syria, I mean, they're saving people's lives, literally. You know, with the drugs, you know, everyone's got a sick relative or a sick friend. Imagine going to the pharmacy and the drugs aren't in stock. Well, these guys are helping prevent that from happening. So a really wide and really diverse sort of group of companies. Some are just in it for the business. Some are ensuring your bottle of wine is what it says it is. Some are saving lives. A really diverse mix of companies, from very small startups like Tunefm to massive multi-billion-dollar companies and everyone in between. And all with a different mission and a different goal, but all with one thing in common, and that's Hedera Hashgraph and HBAR. So there are loads more use cases. So for anyone who's sort of a naysayer and saying, no, it's not real, it's great in theory, but nobody's using it in real life, this kind of does away with that. And hopefully, if you have anyone that's you know, online and saying, actually, what are the use cases, now you can just send them a link to this video and they'll become a believer. Thanks ever so much for watching as always. Many more videos to come. So please give us a like and comment. Love the debate. Always be respectful, of course, but you know, if you disagree, let's hear it.